Who would ever thought that there would ever be a state in the Union of the United States that would pass such vile legislation to demand all taxpayers must now pay for all abortions? That is unprecedented. But can I tell you, a state doesn't get to that place unless there are some of God's people who love to dabble in darkness. And the longer they dabble in darkness, they don't mind so much that the evil does what the evil do, because their evil is covering up their own darkness. And it won't take long that one who once felt comfortable doing their evil, wicked, God-forsaken activity in secret, they'll think, I feel like I can come out of the darkness and begin to live like this, because look, what I've been doing in darkness for so long, I opened my eyes and look, the community's filled with people just like me. We've been murdering the unborn in our nation for so long. It rarely bothers God's elect anymore. It's infected the very fabric of our community so much that it doesn't even bother us very much when we drive down 2nd Avenue and we pass Planned Parenthood, knowing that every week a doctor shows up in Twin Falls to abort babies. The longer you dabble in your secret sins, the more vile what was previously vile becomes more vile. This is a biblical truth. Now, are you telling me, preacher, that if I'll repent of my secret sins, that the community will change? No, I'm not preaching that at all. I'm saying to you, because there is an announcement in verse 9, and this is the work of God, not your righteousness, that makes this possible. God will look at the citizens, and He will put His name upon them, and He will call them into righteousness, and He will give them endurance to survive. What does a survivor do when a nation crumbles? He preaches. He lives godly lives. Verse 16 and 17. He puts on holiness. Even though every business becomes more corrupt, he remains a businessman or a businesswoman of high standards. He does good, and he does good for other people. He sees his ability, and he sees his means, as small as they may be, or as big as they may be. He sees them as opportunity to do good. That blesses God, that you love one another, that you care about the essential needs of each other. You learn to do good. You seek to do right things. You reprove the ruthless. You defend the orphans, and you give help to the legitimate widows, and you remove the evil that is among you. It is a good thing for those who have been saved by your own sin, saved out of your own vile condition. It is good to be saved. It is good to be redeemed, and there to see the beauty of the blood of Christ. What many in the community would want to say is disgusting, and quit speaking about this being cleaned, as Isaiah would say, being washed as white as snow by the blood of Christ. But I say to you, I preach to you, and I say to you, speak these things to your children. Speak these things to your neighbors. Speak these things to your co-workers. Be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Go there. Go to the blood. Go to the cross and be washed. Bathe yourself in it. Dive in completely. Saturate yourself in the blood of the Lamb. O sons and daughters, come out of your family septic sins. Men, it's time to abandon the weighty sins that you've inherited from your father Adam. It is time to put on Christ. Women, it is time to cut off the lips of gossip and the damage that is done in your vile discussions. Put those things aside and put on Christ. Church, purge yourself with hyssop. Be transformed. Be prepared and be ready to be found of God as the remnant, as the survivors, as the ones that God would say, there, I will give the responsibility to push the gospel. I will give these people the difficult work to put the gospel banner on their shoulders and advance it into this community. Them, they, I will do it with them. Now, you may do all things to cultivate that, but it will always be God's pleasure to put that kind of suffering on anyone. If He lays it on you, bless Him for it. Don't be found today in the septic condition of vile sin, putrefied, sick from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, even to the whole of your heart. Nothing is sound, Isaiah says. Only bruises, welts, and raw wounds. They've not been mended. They've not been treated. There's not even any medicine that can help them at this point. The only thing that can be done here is to repent. Repent of your abandonment of the Lord. Turn from your despised heart that loves darkness. Look, examine, plead that God would find a place that He could once again strike His discipline upon you and bring you into a place where He could put His name for all of the nations to see. Here bears a child who carries my name. There, hear Him. Do you hear Isaiah? The land is desolate. It's affected the economy. The cities are crumbled. Are there any survivors here today? Are there any that God could find in the city that He could put His righteous name upon and they would advance into this dark world? But no, every time the news of God using you in righteousness, you squirt out from hearing it so you don't have to bear it and endure it. If you are not, or if a church can't be found in the community, then the community has become Sodom. The community has become Gomorrah. And God owes no city an apology for their condition of their sin and their embracement of it. All of humanity stands in place to repent of their sins.